It was a very calm night. My father was on the porch in Guanajuato, Mexico, on top of a mountain. We lived in a little house for rent. My dad was on the porch. All of a sudden, we heard him call us, "Come out here quick, come out here quick. You gotta see this. Joyce, girls, you gotta come see this." So I grabbed my camera and ran outside and took a picture of a lone red light going light speed in the sky. So silent you could hear a dog bark in the distance. My father said before the red light was a huge white orb with red and green lights circling around it, and it flew into the mountain before I could get outside. But I did take a picture of the red dot. It went across the sky like this. And it was a bright red dot. It never got brighter or dimmer. It just went from right to left, right to left. It was a sight. I wish I could have seen the big white orb, but I, alas, had grabbed my camera and missed it. My father looked in the newspaper the next day and saw that had been reported a white orb with red and green lights going around it by many people across Guanajuato and elsewhere in Mexico as well, but I can't quite remember where that was. This was in the year 1969. I'll never forget that. It was my first UFO sighting. Ah, the sweet days of youth. The sky was so clear that night. I could see the stars. I was in Vancouver, BC. November of 2020, was it 2021? 2020. Let's see. 2020. And it was November. And it was dark outside with thick, dense, clumpy clouds scattered among the black sky. A few stars visible, but most striking was the three-quarter moon rising up and slanting to the right. I looked out my window and said a prayer to God and asked the moon if they could send my message of love to the sun. Somehow I figured they had the right light wave technology to do so. Lo and behold, not 1 minute after I finished my very heartfelt prayer, I must add, I looked up to behold the clouds part, leaving a patch of black sky, and what do you think I saw for a couple of seconds? A gigantic, apartment-sized gray box in the sky that the parting clouds revealed. It had red lights on it. It looked grayish silver like cargo. It had panels, square-like panels, a couple of red lights on the tip. It was either triangular or square. It is hard to say, for I do not know what angle I viewed it. I saw its rear end go up into the cloud above it, as if the cloaking device had temporarily been lifted up too soon. The cloaking device embraced the large apartment-sized gray contraption and carried it away slowly, I'm sure. Then again, it might have zipped away faster than the speed of light had I been able to see it. But I wasn't on any medication. It was as clear as night. And I saw a UFO. Now, doesn't mean it was an ET. It could have been a governmental contraption. We all know the government knows how to use anti-gravity, right? Well, they're just a bit clumsy, and their cloaking devices need to catch up in technology to their floating devices. Well, I must say I was stunned, and at the same time my heart did not skip a beat. It kept beating steadily. I was very relaxed, and I somehow knew that this was a message being sent from the moon beings, letting me know that they heard my prayer and they sent, indeed, my message to the sun. And as a reply, they said, why don't we send her a viewing of UFO? That way she'll connect it to the recent prayer she just gave, which was quite an unusual prayer, I must add, one she's never done before. And sure enough, it was a sign to me that the UFO was a sign. Yes, whatever that means. I know I saw a big box in the sky. It must have weighed whatever the weight of an apartment building is, probably filled with spaceships, maybe gummy bears too, and dog food, who knows. Well, it lifted off and disappeared. I was just sitting at my window, and what do you know, I looked up and saw what looked like a strange hat, or it could have been a snake that swallowed a hat. Something like that flew across the sky right before my eyes. It went like this. About that fast, silent as silent can be, in broad daylight. And I saw it in 2022 in the spring. It was quite amazing, really. Very, very amazing. I've never seen anything like that. It was like a flying hat in the sky. Could have been a flying saucer. Do you know, I was driving down the road, you know, passenger of course. I do not have my dog license, but I was driving among the mountains of Abbotsford, BC, Canada, and I saw in the sky above the mountains to the left a giant bird, but it could not have been a bird. It was bigger than a pterodactyl, bigger than a dinosaur for sure. It was the size of 10 ocean liners, and the wings did not flap. The whole stationary bird glided across the sky like this, and disappeared into the mountain before I could take another breath, you know. It was amazing, you know. I blinked and blinked. I rubbed my eyes, and I could not believe a bird could be so big until I realized it was a cloaking device. You know, they are trying to get more sophisticated, but they are only making fools of themselves, you know. They should have made the wings flap, you know. It was silly. It was ridiculous. Well, you know, so I saw a cloaking device. Who knows what was behind it? Could have been a lot of dog food, I hope.
Well, I was at the window one sunny afternoon, and I saw this thing in the window. It was like a big fat bee, about an inch in diameter, and it sort of just flew by my window. It looked in for a minute, the big black ball, you know, I call it a bee, but it was more like a ball, and it looked at me, and then it just goes, no, stared at me for a minute, you know, and then it goes, ooh, ooh. So here's what it did. Here's me sitting at the window, looking out, and here's what the bee did. Okay, here it goes. And it was silent, and it flew away, and it didn't make any noise, and it didn't flap its wings, and it was the weirdest UFO I've ever seen. It was just so weird because it didn't have any wings. It just, you know, was a circle thing, and it was just like, it was just so weird. I just don't know what it could have been. It must have been a UFO. No, it wasn't a UFO. It was a bee, you silly, silly lamb. Wait a minute. How do you know? Because I've seen a UFO. They look like red lights. No, they look like black balls. Red lights, black balls. Red lights, black balls. Blah, 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 blah.